What's going on, everyone? So at the time of recording this video, tomorrow will be the NBA draft. And Rob Pelinka is currently doing his due diligence to try to find moves and trades to kind of reshape this roster. Based on recent reports, plan A is to go and acquire Chris Paul, re-sign Rui Hachimura, re-sign Austin Reeves. They may even look to kind of front-load D'Angelo Russell in a re-sign where essentially, let's say he makes 4 years, $80 million. They would give him a good chunk of that up front. So it would be something like, $25 million a year the first 2 years, and then it would drop to $15 million the last 2 years in an attempt to kind of preserve, okay, right now we're kind of going to be in over the salary anyway, so might as well just get that now, and then once LeBron and everything falls off, D'Lo will be entering those $15 million a year. We'll have more flexibility. It'll make more sense, right? Stuff like that. That's a great kind of way to approach this. But Rob Pelinka is going to turn over every rock. He's going to try to find the best things available. And it's been very quiet on the Lakers front, right? All the noise about Bradley Beal and, what's going to happen with him, Damian Lillard, what's going to happen there. But the reports, speculation of who are the Lakers going to get, even the Bradley Beal thing, the Lakers were never really linked to that. There were a couple initial reports when he first became available, and it was the Lakers could be a destination, but it didn't really seem like the Lakers were very interested. Didn't look like the Lakers went after it. So it really kind of builds that anxiety of what's going to happen. Because I would be surprised if the Lakers actually keep their 17th pick. Now, they're going to have to draft that person because the Lakers can't trade their pick until they draft day, right? That's why nothing's going to happen till draft day. So, but what it would happen is, let's say the Indiana Pacers, right? We'll just use them as an example. Say you're trading for Miles Turner, right? What would happen is the Lakers would call up Indiana, work out the deal. Okay, who do you want us to draft at 17? They would give them a list of, 3 or 4 guys. Hey, these are the guys. If any of these guys are available at 17, here's our first, second, third, fourth option. These are what we want. If any of these guys are available, draft one of those guys in this order. And that's what would happen. So, let's say, Leonard Miller, right? Say him, right? He's there. They want Miller. They say, go draft Miller. Okay, cool. The Lakers go draft him, and then they would trade that player along with whatever other assets and whatever else, whether, they include the 2029 pick, whatever. That's kind of how things will go and operate. So I absolutely expect the Lakers to pick somebody, but it's very likely going to be for somebody else. That pick is very likely going to then be rerouted elsewhere. Now, it is very possible that we get some news earlier, right? At least at the time of recording this video, there is no real news. There's nothing that's broken or anything like that, but could be while you're watching this video. It could be an hour from now. It could be whenever. It is very possible that if the Lakers have a deal lined up, that ends up leaking and gets put out. And then the Lakers end up making that move, making that pivot, and then it'll become official on draft day. That is a very real possibility. But it is looking more and more likely that the Lakers are going to take Malik Beasley, Bamba, which is basically $26 million, $26.5 million. And then they even have Shaquille Harrison, which is another $2.5 million. So basically they can get to about $29 million in tradable salary, plus whoever the 17th pick is, right? So that should get them to about $35 million, give or take, in tradable salary that they could take in. So that gives them options and flexibility to go get maybe one marquee guy, maybe go get several, right? Maybe you could do a 2-for-2 swap. Maybe you could work something out where you get something out like a Buddy Hield and Miles Turner for Malik Beasley, Bamba. Again, just using it as an example, right? Maybe you do something like that, kind of upgrade the two, give up the 17th pick and then the 2029th, right? Somewhere along those lines. That is a very real possibility. or they go and find one like blue chip guy. That's what the Lakers are trying to find based on the report. They're trying to find a starting level player. They want to find one more starter level guy, right? Which makes a world of sense. The Lakers also, if Chris Paul gets waived, he's probably going to Lakers. So that would give them another starting level guy, and then they go try to look for another starter, and then there you go. You kind of round out your roster. Maybe you can go, ideally, find a perimeter guy. Go find a wing. If you can do that, that would be perfect. Or go get a center, something like that, to where maybe you could play LeBron at the wing, right? Go Chris Paul. Like, let's say you do get Miles Turner. Again, just using it as an example. But say you get Miles Turner and you sign Chris Paul, right? Now you got Chris Paul, Austin Reeves, LeBron James, Anthony Davis, and Miles Turner. Like, that's a really good starting five. That's one of the best starting fives in the league, in my opinion. Got some good balance, all of that. You got some shooting, playmaking, scoring, shot blocking, all of it. You got basically everything you could need. But I fully expect the Lakers to make some sort of trade, some sort of deal. Now, they don't necessarily have to do it on draft day, right? Like, they could still draft a player and explore and kind of draft like best player available and go, okay, like we're going to draft, we'll just stick with Leonard Miller, right? Maybe they draft Leonard Miller. He's best player available. He's young. He's got good upside, good versatility. Most teams would want him on their roster, especially if they're trying to get young players or trying to look to rebuild. Okay, perfect, right? So Lakers could draft that guy, bring him in, do all that stuff, and continue to look for a trade that makes sense. And then maybe that trade ends up developing, and there you go. But most teams, if they're going to make a trade for the pick, they're going to do it on draft day. Because one, let's stick with the Indiana Pacers example. Indiana is going to want him immediately to start developing him, start working with him, start getting familiar with the team and the organization, get ready to play summer league, right? So that way they can get a good look at him, see how he plays, all that stuff. And they're more than likely going to want to draft the guy that they want, right? Like, yes, the Lakers could draft a guy that's just generally like, okay, this was the best player or arguably the best player at 17. Right, so you draft that guy, cool, perfect, everything's good. Most teams would still want that guy. But maybe Indiana, maybe there's a center that's on the board that Indiana really wants. Or a different wing that's on the board that Indiana really wants. Or a point guard, right? Maybe they're looking for another guard or shooting guard or something like that. Right, like maybe the Lakers want Leonard Miller and Carson Wallace is available. And it's like, no, like we want you to draft Carson Wallace. So again, that team is going to want control over who's drafted, what is drafted, and what makes sense. And then bring them over. Let's work them out. Let's start getting them familiar and then get them ready for Summer League and then get them acclimated to get ready for the NBA season. That is very likely what is going to happen. So I would fully expect a trade to get done draft day, right? I would fully expect the trade to get done like as soon as the Lakers make a pick, right before. But news could drop earlier, right? It is very possible. It is very likely. D'Angelo Russell, I wouldn't be shocked if they ended up trading him too, right? Like, especially because it is looking more and more likely like Chris Paul isn't going to get traded. Again, at least at the time of recording this video, again, depending on when you're watching this video, maybe this part right here ages poorly, but like I just feel if a trade was going to happen, it would have already happened because it's pretty straightforward, right? Like you're not getting assets for Chris Paul, and you have to buy him out because you're not going to pay him, his full, whatever it is, $35 million or whatever it is. You're not going to give him all that money for the season for a team. And is he going to want to be there? And is he going to want to play? And the whole point of unloading Bradley Beal was to rebuild and start tanking and stuff, like all of that, right? Like it just makes no sense. So I just feel like, the Clippers, for example, they wanted to go and trade for Chris Paul. it's about as straightforward as it gets. Here's a bunch of expiring salaries. Here's a second round pick or two, whatever, just to like thank you for sending them to us instead of waiving them. You know, you give them a little like good looking out, you know, slide your buddy $1 type thing. That's very well what happens. And then that's it. The deal's done. Like, but it's been over a day and it's like it hasn't gotten done and they're still waiting around. And now we got reports that, you know, they're not in a rush to waive them if they can't find a deal, which they don't. I mean, they have until the 28th. They have until the 28th to waive them. So they're still fine. Like, there's no pressure. There's no rush or anything like that. They could even wait till after the draft if they want to and just see if maybe something pops up at the end. Maybe the team, maybe the Clippers get desperate and go, okay, here. You know, we'll give you whatever, right? We'll give you a pick swap or something like that. Like, that could happen. You know, you never know. But more likely than not, I think Chris Paul gets waived. If Chris Paul gets waived, do you really need D'Lo, right? I mean, granted, you know, I mean, in a perfect world, you'd rather Chris Paul come first. Like, ideally, you'd love to know Chris Paul's coming, like, today, right? Because, or at any point before the draft. Because that could change the type of trades that you make. Because, again, like, if you don't know Chris Paul's coming, then you're probably working in not really including D'Lo into stuff. Because it's like, well, we need a point guard and D'Lo makes sense, right? But if you get Chris Paul, or at least you know he's coming, like you know for a fact he's coming, then it's like, okay, well, maybe we should look to trade D'Lo because we'd have Chris Paul, we have Austin Reeves, you got LeBron James. You know, we could probably bring back Dennis Schroeder maybe. If not, I'm sure we could just find somebody to, you know, be essentially our third, fourth point guard. And it also might change the types of trades that you look at, right? It might be like, you know, instead of this guy, maybe we should get this guy because this guy might fit more with Chris Paul. And like, I don't know. But keep an eye on D'Lo potentially getting traded. I wouldn't be shocked. So they would have to work out a sign and trade. And with the sign and trade, you have to do at least 3 to 4 years. But only the first year has to be guaranteed. So they could give him a full max for 1 year. Like, let's say his market right now is $20 million a year. Let's say he could sign 4 years, $80 million, right? Now, the Lakers could, what they could do is say, hey, we'll give you your max, which is like $36 million a year. So basically, you're going to get 2 years rolled into one, and we're going to trade you to this team over here, and we'll just use the Indiana Pacers, right? We're going to trade you and Malik Beasley or Mo Bamba, right? We're going to trade you and Mo Bamba, and we're going to go get Buddy Hield and Miles Turner, right? You're going to get that $37 million, whatever. But the year 2, 3, and 4 is going to be non-guaranteed. So if they want to keep you, they could keep you. If not, they're just going to waive you, which very likely they're going to waive you. And then you could go sign a new roster or with a new team somewhere else. And now you get a new contract, still only 27, and you're going to get, you know, $20 million a year over 4 years. Perfect, right? There you go. That very well could happen as well. So just kind of keep an eye on this whole D'Lo scenario. I wouldn't be shocked if they keep him. I don't mind keeping him. I know a lot of people don't. I just feel like that's kind of recency biased. D'Lo was very good for the Lakers over the course of the regular season and those first 2 rounds. I mean, D'Lo single-handedly saved us in the Grizzlies series, or we might have gotten eliminated in the first round. So again, like, keep that in mind. But anyway, as always, this is a discussion, so I pass the question on to you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? Do you think the trade 17 pick? Do you think they don't? How do you feel? Whatever your thoughts are, let me know.